Hello, hello. This is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and it's time to talk about this week's third quarter moon in Aries. So let's dive in. Now, third quarter moons are the stage between the full moon and the new moon. It might feel like kind of a quiet time. This is typically a time when we are releasing what we've been doing that hasn't produced any results. If we think about the full lunation cycle at the first quarter moon, we're thinking about what kind of efforts we want to ramp up while we're building up to the full moon in order to get where we've set out for ourselves. And the third quarter moon is putting away whatever attempts we were making in those first quarter moon efforts that no longer make sense as part of our routine, no longer help us get where we're trying to go. So third quarter moons may feel kind of like a quiet time for us. I think this third quarter moon might feel a little bit different, and here's why. Now, the moon moving through Aries itself, as it will once it enters this Saturday, is not necessarily the most interesting transit. The moon will square the sun as it does in a third quarter moon, and then it will conjunct Chiron, which is, as we've been talking about, kind of the ongoing source of our never-ending wounding. Super casual. At a third quarter moon, it may feel like we are compelled to let go of some part of that story. This is the day that Mercury will trine Neptune. Mercury in Cancer, Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so this may be a very innovative day. This may be a day where we are opened up to more ethereal possibilities. Also kind of nice for a moon that is approaching darkness. We're kind of letting go of the light of logic and taking in what lingers beyond that. But the most interesting part of this third quarter moon is that it's being ruled by a Mars at 29 degrees of Leo. Now, you and I have talked a little bit about this 29th degree. If you have natal planets there, you may recognize that they feel a distinct sort of pressure. There's something to finish up as we are about to move signs. This may feel especially potent for Mars, who spends quite a bit of time in each sign. And so this 29th degree is a bit stretched out. It's a bit potent in that waiting for that shift into Virgo. So if we're thinking about a third quarter moon that's being ruled by a planet that's about to change signs, it adds another layer of pressure, of desire to release, of kind of feeling that energy build and bottle up and finally wanting to be done with it. Leo is a fixed sign. Fixed signs don't let things go. Virgo, however, is a mutable sign, and mutable signs are all about release, are all about finishing up. So that may add to whatever we're feeling at this third quarter moon. In Aries, with Chiron waiting on the other side, there may be some triggering, some sense of self that is brought to the surface that we are called to reconcile. Now, the moon will trine Mars from its sign of exaltation, which is Taurus, as soon as it enters Taurus. The moon and Mars will trine at 0 degrees from these respective earth signs. And so that adds another layer of longing, the moon being ruled by a planet that it's about to make contact with, adding some sense of kind of understanding what it's about, understanding what we're being called to release at this time. Now, while Mars is in Virgo, we'll have some interesting lineups. We'll have Mars trine the North Node in Taurus as it's finishing up. We'll have Mars trine Uranus in Taurus as it's about halfway through, as well as Jupiter, who's hanging out with Uranus. But in the meantime, we're kind of most potently building up to this Mars-Saturn opposition that's happening on the 20th. This energy is limiting. This energy is frustrating. This energy is a bit confounding. Mars, hard at work in Virgo, wants to be focusing on the details to get where we're trying to go. Saturn in Pisces says there's something you didn't even envision that's blocking you. There's something that's even bigger than all of your efforts. There's a big striving for perfection vibe with Mars moving through Virgo, and Saturn in Pisces is sort of taunting this idea that there's no such thing. So knowing that this energy is what Mars anticipates while moving through Virgo, we may even feel that woven into this third quarter moon. So when we think about releasing something from Mars at this 29th degree of Leo before it moves into Virgo, we may have a big battle of the wills. We may have a big battle of me and myself versus what's necessary of me at this time, what I want to be, what I see myself as, and how I feel proud, up against what I need to let go of in order to face what is coming up with this opposition to Saturn. So with all of this said, let's go ahead and take a look at what the cards have to say to us about this third quarter moon in Aries at 17 degrees. I'll see you in just a minute.
Okay, so here we are looking at the narrative we've been building since the Gemini new moon. We have our Libra first quarter moon here, and most recently our Capricorn full moon. If you have missed these, take a moment, go back, check out these videos so that we can see what it is we are letting go of here in this Aries third quarter moon. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. At this third quarter moon, we're checking in about what it is that is coming to a close now. We are asking what our previous attachment to whatever is ending has been to this point. We're asking about how we can make meaning from this process. We as humans needing to understand. And lastly, what we can invite in at this time as the light wanes, as the moon becomes new once more. Okay, let's get a look at what we've got here. And this will be the wrap up of this current lunation cycle. We will begin anew next week at the Cancer new moon, which will be potent as it will be squaring the nodes that will have just shifted into Aries and Libra. So, okay, here we go. All right, sorry, skull friend. Did not mean to harm you. Okay, so what is coming to a close now? I was looking at this card earlier. You know, as you saw a moment ago, I always pull out all the previous cards from the cycle. And while I was doing so, my eye was stuck on the King of Cups. So it's funny to see this character here now. What's coming to an end or a close? What kind of emotional responsibility are you taking for others? The king is someone who is not only grounded in their own emotions, but is so stable that they can stabilize the emotions of those around them. This is typically a beautiful gift. This is why we have therapists and why we have mentors, why we have people who are able to hold that space to literally crystallize water, right? To take elements of the earth and to stabilize them, to ground in them, and to be able to do so in a way that extends that same possibility to others, to part others' clouds and to transmute what they're feeling into something beautiful. However, when we think about this as something coming to a close, it may suggest that this is a role we've been playing that we are done with. Maybe we've been the emotional rock for others in a way that is no longer valid or valuable to us or to them. Perhaps we've taken on a responsibility emotionally for others that is not ours to carry. Perhaps we have fulfilled a role and we can step down. Think about what this might look like for you. We talked about Mars being at that 29th degree of Leo as it's ruling over this moon that is releasing. And so what role has felt really proud for you that now is tiring? What role have you had to play in order to get where you are, but you are invited to step down in some capacity? Okay, so think on that for a moment. My previous attachment to what's ending now? Oh, well, maybe we felt that if we did not do that work, we would not get what we needed. Maybe we've been fulfilling a role in exchange for resources. That's quite literally what we do in capitalism. We play a role for the payment. However, my previous attachment to what's ending now is perhaps kind of holding on to just barely surviving. It may be that we've felt that this is the only way. We may have felt like I have to endure this or I will slip into some sort of literal or emotional poverty. If I am not able to provide this resource to others, then perhaps I will stay in this place of feeling left out, feeling like what I need is on the inside and I'm on the outside. Ooh, this is feeling a little heavy, but really clarifying how I am able to make meaning from this process. Okay. The Eight of Wands. Well, interesting that when we stay in holding patterns, we convince ourselves that there's nothing else that will appear to help us, to save us, to be that rope that we need to get out of what we're in. We could think of this as maybe like a life vest or a floaty. We may feel like if we let go of what we have, we're going to plummet. And really what's happening is perhaps it's an invitation to release what is no longer fulfilling for us in order to allow things to swiftly enter, things to swiftly take place. Maybe by stepping out of this role, something is actually able to fill this void very quickly. Perhaps communicating, we have wands here, we have pigeons, we have carrier pigeons. So perhaps in stepping down from this role, we are able to put something out very quickly that we haven't had the energy to do because we've been fulfilling this. Okay, what I can invite in at this time. Oh, well, I love a happy ending. Okay. This is a nice deep breath. I feel like we are feeling really bound to whatever circumstantially has convinced us is permanent or is just indefinite. And really, if we step out of this while confronting this fear, we can't step through it, okay? It's real. We can challenge the fear, we can hold the fear, we can acknowledge the fear, and trust that as these things begin to open up, they open up very quickly, and we can invite in the tools that we need in order to start fresh. The magician is towards the beginning of the fool's journey. Obviously, the fool is the beginning of the fool's journey. And it's nice to see us kind of landing at one, maybe not zero, where we're just taking a blind leap and not necessarily knowing where we're landing. The magician tells us we've kind of already started that process and we're in this period of gathering what we will need in order for the next chapter to unfold in a way that we feel a sense of control over. So, knowing this is a third quarter moon, knowing that we are opening up to a Cancer new moon next week that is going to square the nodes and create a lot of change, it's interesting to kind of be in a place of trust perhaps right now in inviting in whatever it is we'll need to make these things happen, even though perhaps right now we've been convinced that they can't. That's a nice way to counteract some of that fear. I'm afraid I'm not going to have what I need. Let me go ahead and intentionally invite it in. Once we invite, things open up. And it's only when we express what we need and invite it in that the universe is able to collaborate with us. Okay, this feels pretty cool. Maybe a little stressful, a little scary. I know last week we had the Four of Pentacles reversed, which was us emptying the coin purse in some way. And I delightfully heard back from some of y'all that that was absolutely real. And so perhaps we're feeling like, oh no, I've invested in something or I've had to give out something that is making me return to a feeling of lack. But It's really nice to see that we are connected to something bigger than us right now, and we are invited to invite that in. Okay, y'all, let me know how this lands for you in the comments. If you liked this, please like it. Please share. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for this very potent Cancer new moon. Stay safe, y'all.